Hello and a very warm welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips and suggestions to ensure that you ace that online job interview that you have. As technology develops, it is becoming more convenient and cost-effective for employers to conduct job interviews online. Virtual interviews or online interviews, they reduce transportation costs, they speed up the interviewing process, and they allow hiring managers to interview candidates who may not live local and perhaps candidates who may actually be in another country. If you're searching for a job, you might be required to participate in an online interview. But what really is an online interview? It is an interview that is conducted through an online chat video or an audio platform. There are different types of online interviews. Employers can conduct online interviews using different methods. Before your appointment, make sure to ask your interviewer what kind of interview to expect. This includes finding out if the call will include audio, video, or both. Additionally, make sure you know what time zone the interview will be calling from. That is extremely important. So first tip, make sure to ask your interviewer what kind of interview to expect. This includes finding out if the call will include audio, video, or both. Tip number 2, make sure you know what time zone the interview will be calling from. Extremely important that you know what time zone the interviewer will be calling from. Now, the first type of online interview that I would like to enlighten you about is video calls. It is the most common type of online interview. When setting up a video call, the interviewer will typically contact you and ask if you have access to the necessary equipment. Now, most laptops have built-in cameras and microphones, so you should be able to find a computer that meets the requirements. The interviewer will schedule a specific time in which they will call using a program like Skype, Zoom, or Google Hangouts. During the video call, the interviewer will be able to talk to you like you would during an in-person interview. And if you're familiar with webcam technology, a video call should be fairly simple for you to set up and navigate. The key to a successful video call is preparing thoroughly ahead of time. Always ensure that you prepare yourself thoroughly ahead of time. The second type of online job interview could be a recorded video. Now, it involves you recording a video of yourself answering interview questions. To prepare for this type of interview, the interviewer will send you a list of questions and a deadline. You will need to set up a camera and film yourself while you answer each question on the list. After you have finished, you will need to upload the video and send it back to the interviewer. Now, this type of interview allows you to carefully prepare your answers in advance, but it can also be awkward if you're not used to talking to a camera. As with video calls, the most important thing you can do is set aside time to prepare and practice. Now that we know the two different types of online interviews, that is through a video call or through a recorded video, let us look at how to prepare for your online interview. How should you prepare? Preparation is a critical element for the interview. Consider the following steps to prepare effectively for your online interview. Step 1. Test the technology. Familiarize yourself with the necessary equipment and software. Before your interview appointment, schedule a test call with a friend or family member. Make sure that your microphone and speakers are working and that your internet connection supports high-quality live video. Also, check and make sure you're using a professional screen name that will be easy for the interviewer to recognize. So avoid those other kinds of screen names that you call yourself. Avoid nickname screen names. Instead, make sure you're using a professional name that will be easy for the interviewer to recognize. That might mean that you might have to sign up for a new account using a professional name. Step 2. Practice, practice, practice. After you have tested the equipment, you will need to practice your interviewing technique. You could ask someone you know to practice interview questions with you over a video call. Be aware of your computer's tendency to lag and make sure you do not talk over the other person. Very important. Make sure that you do not talk over the other person. Practice listening carefully and speaking slowly and clearly. The more you practice, the more confident you will be during the actual interview. Step 3. Choose your location. Well before the scheduled interview, you will need to select a location for your interview. Find a quiet room with minimal background noise and no distractions. A room without any background noise or distractions. Make sure you have adequate lighting, preferably natural lighting, and also ensure that there is nothing that is distracting behind you. Make sure anybody who you live with knows not to disturb you, and please shut away any pets out of the room. A professional backdrop will show the interviewer that you're serious about the interview and the job. For example, you could decide to ensure that you have a background of your bookshelf where you have your books. So ensure that the background that you have is very professional. And if you're going to be using Zoom, for example, for your interview, you do have a choice, or Skype, you do have a choice to choose a virtual professional background. So don't worry if you have to do the interview in your bedroom, for example. You can always select a professional background using Skype or Zoom. The next step, gather your materials. Find a notebook and pen and set them within reach of your computer. Consider printing out a copy of your CV or your resume that you can consult during the interview. You might also want to make a list of questions or talking points that you would like to bring up in the interview. These tools can all be helpful, but make sure they do not divert your attention too often during the interview. So please gather your materials, find a notebook and a pen, and set them within reach of your computer. Print out your CV or your resume so that you can consult it during the interview. And you might also want to make a list of questions or talking points that you would like to bring up in the interview. These tools will all be very helpful, but please make sure that they do not distract you too often during the interview. The next step, prepare your own questions. Really important. We've all had an interview and later you thought, I should have asked that. I should have asked that. Please prepare your own questions. In addition to preparing answers to some common interview questions, it is also advisable that you prepare several questions of your own. Ask the interviewer about job requirements, for example, the benefits, the salary, or what they think of the company. Any questions that allow the interviewer to share additional information about what they expect from the ideal candidate will help you in the next stage of interviewing. So please, prepare some questions that you would like to ask the interviewer as well. Questions related, for example, to the job requirements, the benefits, the salary. Okay? The next step that we are going to talk about is tips to ace your online interview. Now, when the time comes for your online interview, you will want to conduct yourself professionally and make a good impression. And here are some tips on how you're going to ace that online interview. Tip number 1, dress professionally. Even though you're not meeting your interviewer in person, it is still important to dress professionally. Wear something clean, conservative, and business casual. If you can, you may want to research the company's dress code in advance. Wear nice pants and shoes just in case you may need to stand up or walk away from the camera. Your dress code will communicate your level of professionalism with the interviewer. So please choose your outfit carefully. So those pajama pants, please do not wear them. The reason being, you may be required at some point to stand up or walk away from the camera. So dress professionally from head to toe. Next tip, make eye contact. Making eye contact during an online interview is more difficult than you might think. When answering questions, you will need to focus your gaze directly into the webcam instead of at the interviewer's face or your own. Please make eye contact by looking directly into the webcam, not the interviewer's face or your own face. Maintaining eye contact and nodding your head up and down now and then will show the interviewer that you are involved and listening attentively. Next tip, consider your body language. It is harder to read body language through a video, so be especially aware of your nonverbal cues. Think about what sort of nonverbal cues are you sending with your body language. Remember to smile and nod when the interviewer speaks. Sit up straight and act as you would during an in-person interview. You obviously will not be able to shake hands when signing off, so you will need to show your professionalism and good manners in other ways. Next tip, relax. Your worst enemy during an online interview may be your own nerves. Take a deep breath before the call and try to maintain calm and collected during the interview. Try to remain calm and collected during the interview. If you can communicate confidently with the interviewer, you are far more likely to leave a lasting positive impression than if you seem nervous. Remember, one of the best solutions for Interview anxiety is practicing your answers ahead of time and also making sure that you show up in front of your computer probably 10 minutes or 20 minutes before the actual interview. Next tip, have a backup plan. Now, technology is notorious for malfunctioning at inconvenient times. Before your interview, contact your interviewer and agree upon a backup plan in case of any glitches. Transitioning to a phone call, for example, or rescheduling for a later time are both possible solutions for technical difficulties. Do not panic if your software experiences an issue. If the problem is outside your control, the interviewer will definitely understand. Next tip, follow up after. After the interview, you will need to send a thank you note to the interviewer. This can be a physical card or an email depending on the situation. Wait a few days though after the interview, and if you have not heard from the interviewer, reach out to them. Ask if the hiring process is still ongoing and find out if they need any more information from you. Remember to always thank the interviewer for their time. Now, there you go. So those are the tips and suggestions I would give you to ensure that you aced that online job interview. And of course, I wish you all the best. Try and apply those tips and suggestions and you will be halfway there. Now, thank you very much for your time. If you found the tips helpful, please give the video a thumbs up and share the video with anybody else who might benefit from it. And of course, remember to subscribe to this channel because if it has anything to do with money, I upload it. Now, thank you and see you in our next video. Bye-bye.